right, welcome back. Thank you, dear viewers, for staying with us. You're still watching Business Insider. We're talking about the efficiency of AI predictions, and with us here is Dr. Nevine Makram Labib. Dr. Nevine, AI has become a very important tool, not just, it's not a luxury anymore, according to many. I'm sure you're one of them as an expert in this field. So tell us about how effective indeed, how efficient is AI in prediction in broad fields, because I'm sure it can play a role in just about any field you can name in life.
Okay, actually its predictive capability is great, but that's assuming that you provide it with all the data, because sometimes we feed the system with what we call the noisy data. So if you feed the system with noisy data, which is inaccurate or data that is incomplete, not updated and so on, then you definitely cannot rely on the results. So we need to provide the system with the good method or the good model, if you talk AI, and you should provide it also with all of the required good data.
Okay, good data, that's a key word, because there could be biased data, right?
Definitely.
There could be, you mentioned noisy data. Sometimes data is too much. I mean, we have too much data when you say noisy data?
No, noisy data is incomplete or inaccurate.
Okay.
So it's not only the quantity, we're talking here quality. Because sometimes you have huge amounts of data that, again, is still noisy. So first of all, we need to do what we call the cleaning or pre-processing of data, so as to make it good and to make it available for the use of the system. So that's the first thing.
Sometimes we say in our lives that, you know, try to make things simple and look at the big picture. Don't go too much into detail so as not to get lost. Is this the case also when it comes to data in AI? I have just the imagination or the assumption that too much data could also be harmful, because, you know, it sways you from the main goal.
Yes,
is that true?
Yes, that's a good point to mention. That's why we talk about the data selection. So first of all, we clean the data, and then we select the relevant data, the factors that are relevant to, you know, the problem that we're trying to solve. So again, it all depends on the application, but we should select only the relevant ones, or else you're left with too much data that is not useful again.
Okay, so there is data selection.
Yes, data cleaning. Data
cleaning, removing the noisy or incomplete data.
Yes.
And then there's the biased data. And that's the big, huge problem, isn't it?
Yes, that's why you talk about data validation. So we do kind of a comparison between the data that we have and other sources of data, so as to make sure that we are relying on good data. Again, it's the same thing, relying on the good data, having relevant, having accurate, having complete, having updated data. That's the main issue for us.
Okay, key words there. So you're trying to tell us that AI is very good when it comes to prediction in any field, on condition that we have the good data.
The good data and the suitable model. Because sometimes we make use of models that are not suitable. That's why when we deal with AI systems, we kind of try many models. You know, like when you talk about machine learning, for example, then we're trying to train the system so as to give us the relevant and the good results. So we make use of several methods or several models using our IT jargon, and then we compare the results and we see the most suitable model to be used. So assuming that you have the good data and the suitable model, then you definitely will have good results.
Okay, so I guess we've talked, we've given the data factor a lot of attention. I want to give the suitable model, because the word suitable is somehow abstract. So what is exactly meant by a suitable model, and who is the judge? I mean, who can really tell or who is tasked with the judging that this is a 100% suitable model, this is a 80% suitable model, and so on. The criteria whereby we decide that this is a suitable model.
It all depends on the results. So we try to train the system to provide the system with, for example, the 60% of the data that is there, the available data. And then after training, we do kind of a testing. So when we test, we compare the results that are drawn out of the system with the other results that are the real ones, okay, done by humans, for example. And then with this comparison, you can come up with the most suitable model for this specific application or this specific domain. So if we may say, these are not criteria, but it all depends on the comparison. And with the comparison, you have the errors. And sometimes it is acceptable, other times you have too many errors, thus it's not acceptable. And you have
so there is an acknowledgement from the part of you, and by you I mean the experts in artificial intelligence, that there is a degree of error, there is a coefficient of error, there is a deviation, a certain deviation that will happen, and that a certain deviation, if it's small, is acceptable.
Yes. And this is done, I mean, you can work on the errors, again, with providing the system with more data. That's what we do by the training and the testing phases. You have these two phases in order to make the system learn. Again, we're talking machine learning or system learning.
It's amazing. So you're basically developing, I guess we can say so, developing the skills of the machine.
Yeah, exactly.
We usually, of course, talk about developing skills of us, human beings. But I want to go back to the error thing and the suitable model and the deviation. How many samples? I mean, who is again to say that this is enough? This is the number of enough samples of comparison, because you mentioned the important thing here is to compare the real results with the results that the machine predicted in the so-called suitable model. So the samples, who decides how many samples we need so as to trust the model?
Application and the factors to be used. That's why we're talking about the selection. So for example, if you select 5 or 6 attributes, by attributes, we're talking about the factors that have an effect on the result or on the decision itself. So if you have 6, it's different than if you have 32, for example. So you don't have many equations, but you have to rely on the number of factors or attributes that are being used and the application. And you know, it's not easy to find data. So when we talk about thousands of records, then it's not easy at all. Sometimes we're only left with the 5,000, for example, and that's not enough. So we say that it's kind of, you know, an exercise that we did, but we cannot rely on the results. Because again, the data is a main challenge for us.
It must be, because again, you know, just keeps popping to my mind, too much data. Sometimes, I mean, we face this in our normal lives. Sometimes, because we complicate things and because we receive so much data and noisy data and incomplete data and biased data, we deviate from the main frame, from the big picture. And sometimes, many times, when we keep things simple, logic, you know, without complicating things, we achieve better results.
Yes, but again, it all depends on the application. Because sometimes with some applications, we don't have any data. And we have to work on it, whether out of the social media, which is not really good data, but sometimes we're only left with the source of data. So,
applications like what? Where we have a lack of data?
That was the case with healthcare years ago. But now with the many initiatives that we have in the country, then now we have a good database of data, or let's say we have good data. It wasn't the case. It was totally incomplete. So when we wanted to rely on, for example, on the past history of the patient, the family history, it wasn't there. And that caused many problems and caused some irrelevant or not good results by the end of the day, because data for us is key.
Well, I assume that indeed the medical sector or the healthcare sector is one of the sectors, maybe the number one sector where we as mankind can achieve great success using AI, because there is no need for biased data. There is no need, I mean, so things will move probably in this specific field. The medical sector using AI will achieve better results probably more than any other field. Is that a good assumption?
Kind of, yes, because AI started with healthcare applications, because that's very important, as you just mentioned.
That was the origin.
Yes, that was the origin. But we cannot say that we don't need biased data, because again, biased data is there. Talking about samples, you mentioned a very good and smart point. Okay, deciding on the sample. And sometimes, as I just told you, that we don't have enough data, that's the point. And then the perception, how you perceive the data. And another point, how you can explain the results that the system provides you.
Well, two very important points you mentioned there. So let's stick with them. The perception. So you were telling us that there could be the same data is before two different scientists, and they could perceive them differently. This is very, very important.
Definitely. Perception, again, is a main challenge for us. It's how you see or how you read the data. So,
and that's why it's not 100% accurate, even in the medical,
never 100%.
Even in the medical or healthcare sector.
There is no 100% accuracy. Even if you have an expert, a human expert, with all due respect to all experts, but you don't have the 100%. So how can you expect the machine to give you 100%?
Right.
Okay. So
very important point, because I guess because of the technological revolution era we are living in, some of us have the tendency to believe that computers or artificial intelligence can do no wrong.
Yes, and that's the main issue. We keep on explaining to the people that this is not right. If you do some errors, if you're allowed to have errors, then what about the system that you developed by the end of the day?
Right.
So we do not expect the system to bypass you. Okay.
So it's very wrong to be lazy or lax and just depend on machines and technology and not, revert to
we need machines and systems as a support, not as a substitution. Okay, again, that's another issue, because people are afraid that they will be replaced eventually by machines. And that's not the case, or at least that's not the case that we want. Okay, we're aspiring at another scenario, having the
dangerous
machines.
thing you're saying here.
Yes, it's very dangerous, and it's one of the scenarios, one of the bad ones, so let's say the pessimistic ones. But we need to make better use of AI in order to have the good scenario. That is making AI a support. Let AI support us in doing our jobs in a better and in a more efficient way.
Right. You mentioned another point alongside the perception. I just forgot.
The complexity of the results. And how you can...
how to analyze...
How to analyze the results. And again, here you have the perception. Because having results, still you're the one who's taking the decision. Although we say that we have the data-driven decision-making, but by the end of the day, we still have a decision maker, a human being. Of course, this human being will rely on the results, but how he perceives the results, that's another story.
Being a sports fan myself, I just wanted to raise this point before you, an expert in artificial intelligence. So, and hear your response to what I'm going to say. Watching a lot of American sports like baseball or American football, They use, and tennis, they also get this into tennis as well. They use artificial intelligence to make predictions while the game is ongoing. Let's say 15 minutes are left, 10 minutes, one set remains to be played, so on, and they make predictions. And it's very obvious, and this is what the commentators say when, you know, those who are carrying the programs on air, that AI says that you should do this now. I mean, this is the tactic that the coach should do now.
Yes.
And watching many events, I heard the commentators say because the results were not good when they used what the machine said, they were basically saying, forget about what the machine is saying, and you know what? The coaches who are winning are the ones who are doing it the orthodox way, the old way. Because when you watch this, they give you, say, this is American football, so you should pass the ball here, you should rush the ball here, you should kick, you should go for 2 points, you should go for 1. So we know as viewers what the AI says. And some of the coaches apply automatically what AI says they should do. And others, you know, sometimes they go with it, sometimes not. So it's obvious that they are just using their minds and they are totally neglecting AI. And I saw one coach, for instance, take the tablet and throw it into the ground after going with the AI suggestion when it failed. So I just want your comment on that, because it seems, at least in sports, and in many occasions, that AI is not working, and the orthodox way is the one working.
Okay, again, that's a very interesting example. Okay, here we have 2 points. It's either that we are relying on, again, inaccurate data. So again, if you feed the system, the AI system, with incomplete or inaccurate data, inaccurate cases that were there before in this specific game, then again, you cannot expect the system to give you the right or the most suitable way to deal with this sport. Okay, so that's a point. Another point is, with AI, you have another perspective. You can use AI, you can have an AI system that relies on the expertise or the knowledge. So it's as if you have kind of a consortium of trainers, for example, and these trainers are there and they're watching the match and they're giving advice to the coach. So if you have good experts, then you will definitely have a good advice. And again, you don't have a 100% result. It's never the case. Because even with the best coaches, I guess that they will
mistakes happen, of course.
Definitely. So again, either you take it from data perspective, then you have to assure that you have all the criteria and all of the factors that
so it means this was
not
probably this was not a suitable model.
Definitely.
We go back to the suitable model.
Not suitable model and not enough data. Let's say the enough data. Because you're asking about the number of cases.
Another field where AI seems also to have failed its users, at least. We can have, without naming any parties, but you could have a war between a very sophisticated country in artificial intelligence against another one or another group of people who are much less sophisticated in AI and don't have the tools that those have. And we see that AI has failed those who have it, and they have been penetrated through and broken and slapped in the face.
Again, here you have many hidden factors. That's why when we deal with AI, we cannot deal with the unknowns. Sometimes you have unknowns. So that's a very important point. Do you have all of the data? When you see when you talk about any war, especially when you talk about the 5th generation war, where information and perception are very important. So do we have enough data? And are we using the suitable model? And again, here with AI, you're only talking about prediction, but you did not talk about how to act when faced with any scenario. That's why I also say that the data science or the data analytics framework is very important, because data analytics provides you not only with the prediction, but you have what we call the prescription. So what if this scenario happens, then this country or this group of people should act in a certain way. So we should do kind of a combination between the AI and the data analytics if we want things to get better.
And I guess it's also very difficult for AI to predict the sentiment of people if this or that happens. It's just an assumption, because we're talking about wars here again. I mean, that very sophisticated country could do barbaric things, or could have use its might and its power against defenseless or armless people, and continue to do that without predicting, although they have AI, what the sentiment of these people will be, and the sentiment of the peoples around them will be, and the sentiment of the globe will be. What about the prediction here? The AI, again, either these people are not using AI, those who have a lot of power and sophisticated, or they intentionally have sidelined this because they have other purposes.
Okay, again, in my opinion, it all depends on the decision makers. So sometimes, as you just said, that you have all the data and you have all the results, and again, it's your choice. The actions are your choice.
Of course.
Okay, we're not talking about totally automated systems. We're talking about people who take decisions regarding the war. So that's a point. And then the second point, who told you that these people do not have any idea about what will happen next? Who said so?
Yeah, that's why I said, or either they have other purposes.
Definitely, because opinion mining is one of the main tasks that are performed by the artificial intelligence.
So it should predict?
Yes, it will definitely.
Even the sentiment?
Yes.
But of course, to a certain degree of efficiency.
Very good degree of efficiency. It's very efficient when it comes to the opinion mining or to the sentiment analysis. So these people definitely
assuming they have
predictions.
Assuming they have the suitable model.
They do have the suitable model.
Okay, so Dr. Nevine, another important point here in this amazing world of artificial intelligence is how to reduce the unknown and how to develop theories. I mean, I'm sure this is a very advanced stage of the process.
We're trying to do kind of a cooperation between different AI scientists because we need new theories. Whenever we're faced with high levels of errors, then we should do kind of enhancement and improvement to our models. That's why we're talking about cooperation between different scientists, between different universities, in order to come up with new models. And every day you hear about a new type of artificial intelligence, like, for example, the ChatGPT, the generative artificial intelligence. So we're not only having the machine learning, but we have systems that can generate new ideas and provide us with new opinions. So it's not only sentiments, but it's also opinions. So every day we have new technologies, and sometimes every hour.
Wow. Finally, how to integrate data analytics with AI? Because I understand that this is a point that you are very interested in, integrating data analytics with AI.
Okay. We can apply the data analytics framework. So we have kind of a description of what's going on, like one of the examples that you mentioned, whether we're talking about healthcare, about wars, about sports. So if you have a description of the situation, the current situation, but if you have a good description, again, having good data, the keywords, and then you have kind of a prediction of what will happen next, then you will have many scenarios, and with these scenarios you have to get to know the why did this happen? And then have some prescription. What if this good scenario happens, and what if this bad scenario?
There is perception here as well. The why, there's a perception in answering
with the why, with the results, with everything, you have perception. That's normal. We don't have mere facts, but we have perception. How you see, how you perceive the facts.
Indeed. Very interesting, as always. Dr. Nevine Makram Labib, the Director of the Social and Cultural Planning Center and Professor of AI at Jamia Hamdard University in India. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you, dear viewers, for watching Business Insider. I'm Mohammed Abdelrahim, and this is goodbye.